What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Johnny. Back in here with one more reaction video, ladies and gentlemen. Today I got another nerdy video for you. So I was doing some research yesterday on the CIA and brainwashing and all that, and I stumbled upon this gem. Ex-FBI informant talks about the infiltration of black culture. I think this is a video the masses need to hear. So this is your first time to the channel. Where you been at? Nah, get on in here. As I love to say, we are simply spirits encased in human flesh, baby. Just trying to figure out this thing called life, not nearly as divided or as demonic as the mainstream media tries to make it seem every single day. So if you dig what you hear in this video, do me a favor and share far and wide.
Why have you decided to talk to me?
For the simple reason, I think this information should be getting out, should be put out to the public. I think not only black people, but everyone should become aware of what your so-called law enforcement agencies do to so-called enforce the law. Because between you, myself, and the audience, I've seen more felons in law enforcement than I have in prison.
Many would say, well, look, you yourself just got through saying that the DLA was involved in criminal activity. What's wrong with wanting to put them in prison? How would you answer them?
I would answer them in this way. First off, we have to understand why they did what they did. But I'm not even gonna go off into that psychological hoo-ha. What I'm gonna say is, when you become just as bad as the people that you go after, then there's nothing gained and a whole lot lost.
You also were active in the infiltration of many cultural groups. Before we go into that step by step, how much research and study did the FBI engage in of black culture in the late 60s?
A great amount.
Give me an idea.
From the thing is, they have a file on every type of magazine that blacks read. They have a file on the music.
Music?
Music,
really?
Dance, theater, actors, comedians, you name it, man.
And they would actually study these different...
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely.
What would they do with music?
To understand the people, you have to understand the culture. To infiltrate, you have to understand. You had a lot of so-called white liberals that were infiltrating the so-called black groups.
More things change, more they stay the same.
The information that they had gathered from the studies of blacks.
You mean just to understand the behavior pattern of our people?
Oh yeah, I can, Will Heaton could name out some jams of Miles Davis that I hadn't even heard of. He could name off some books that I hadn't even read pertaining to black culture.
Do you ever see agents actually studying the music of...
Yes, yes. Yes, I've seen them going over even video portion of cultural events. The understanding, like when, okay, you have an organization like Leroy Jones' Black House. You remember that? Okay, Leroy Jones's place, which was done on the thing of tribalism. That's where I first heard the word Kintu, Mantu, Huntu, Hentu. These words of the African continuum. I learned that from an agent. He ran it down to me. They make in-depth studies of the personalities of the people they're dealing with too, culturally. It always helps when it's the thing of, you can take their culture and use it against them.
Take their culture and use it against them. Look at where we are in 2023. Look at the homicide rate. Look at how degenerate all the new female music is. I think the current #1 song right now is Pound Town. And tell me if that culture hasn't been snatched from you and somebody dangling in front of your face like a carrot. Wake up, people. I love you all.
How large would you say an extensive a collection on our culture would you say the FBI has? Would you rate it as large as a particular library, like the Schomburg Library in Harlem? Or
I would rate it better. I would rate it better, and the fact is that they go into details that we probably would overlook.
Also, I want to take a minute to recognize all of the independent artists who taught you to be self-made, work for yourself, think for yourself, the Nipsey Hussles, the Young Dolls. They always end up dying. And they put out a bunch of negative content, so you don't know if it's an FBI setup or if legitimately they lost their life in some street stuff. But all of the rappers who can do 2-3 years in jail can get out and get back up to the top. And you see the T.I. situation and the Boosie, and something ain't adding up with these rappers in jail and getting out and being stars again. Now Gunna's a star again. Just let's pay attention to how this keeps unfolding. But the more things change, the more they stay the same, it seems.
Will Heaton used to meet me in different places. You know, Will Heaton, that was one of my supervising agents. There is a certain bar in the Los Angeles area where people into black cultural things met, and Will Heaton used to meet me there.
Now the whole world is into black
culture.
culture.
Very long and tiring conversations with some very articulate brothers about culture, African culture, and Afro-American culture.
tell me about some of the cultural organizations that you infiltrated and what you did.
PASLA, Mafunde, Watts Writers Workshop, which they had.
The Watts Writers Workshop?
Yes. Watts Writers Workshop, which was one of the oldest established black writers workshop.
That place was burned down.
Yeah. The Bureau had it burnt down.
How do you know that?
I know because I participated. I did the arson.
You burned down the Watts Writers?
Yes.
Dude.
Why did they want it to go?
At the time, funding had been cut to the workshop, had been cut out, but it looked like there was a possibility of a grant being given back to the workshop. And if there was no theater, there would be no grant.
That was their version of shadow banning.
2 cans of kerosene, Purex bottle, gasoline, and a flare, highway flare.
Why didn't you use more sophisticated stuff?
Oh, no. No. You're never overly sophisticated. It's too obvious. This way you make it look like, maybe somebody in the neighborhood that got kicked out of the theater at one time got mad and came and burned the damn theater up.
So you mean to tell me how Nipsey was supposed to talk to the LAPD on that Monday, and because dude was called a snitch, he said, I'm about to take his life? Could be legit, or like my man said right here, could be to see I don't pay attention to what's happening. You know, Dolph was opening a school in Memphis. It wasn't much talk about that, but young Dolph was opening a music school for all the kids in the inner city of Memphis. He just randomly get hit with 50 shots at a cookie shop. Could be legit. Could be an FBI hit. That's why I say you got to be mindful of the content that you are putting out, because you are a walking resume, whether you like it or not, black men, black women. And with paying attention, they're going to be able to use the image that you portray to the world against you. And if you care about your family, you care about your children, you care about your community, then put a representation out so when something goes sideways, it don't fit your character.
Kind of thing.
But you were involved in this theater? I mean, did it get to you at all what you were?
Hey, man, that got to me a great deal. I love that theater. I built the stage.
You built the stage?
What?
Oh, yeah. When I got to the workshop, the stage that had been, the original stage that had been built needed an extension on it. The original part of the stage was in terrible condition. They had no lighting system.
I'm going to pause it right now. How many FBI informants do you think there are currently in the rap industry, the NBA, the NFL, the LGBT, whatever else community? How many FBI informants you think are all in all of these groups? Let me know in the comments below.
I put the lighting system in myself. I put the stage in myself. And that was a stage, man. And that was a theater. It's a nice theater.
Did all that
Who was the
yourself to
director of
burn it
that
down?
workshop?
Harry Dolan.
Harry Dolan. Some very, very well-known artists supported that workshop, gave money to it.
Some very well-known artists came out of the Watts Writers Workshop. You know, Glenn Tubman, Yaphet Kotto, Sidney Poitier used to come down there.
This
and
makes
give
you
a
look at
class.
the
Sammy
Tupac
Davis
Biggie
Jr.
beef a lot
used to
different
come
as
down there
well.
all the time. Quincy Jones used to come there and give music classes. We had our own 8-track studio setup for sound. We had our own sound room there.
Was part of your other activities and responsibilities to study the profiles of celebrities who were supportive of organizations?
Definitely, and especially, like I said, psychological backgrounds, weaknesses and strengths. Did he have a weakness for blondes? Did he have a weakness for money? Did he snort cocaine? Did he smoke marijuana? They even get into, and that's one thing the Bureau loves is their sexual background.
Boom.
They have files and files on different blacks, not only celebrities, but a lot of others, sexual activity.
What would they do with this information?
Oh, that's used as a weakness.
So they would feed these weaknesses.
Yes.
Hey, and the craziest part about this is you can go read the autobiography of Malcolm X and see how moral he was. Like, didn't sleep with other women, didn't cheat on his wife, none of that. Then we all know Martin Luther King did his thing. But with all the concepts that have been pushed on children in today's society, the reason I believe that a lot of, like my man said, the Hollywood figures ain't saying nothing, because the FBI got files on them. They all know something about their past. They all know something about their private kinks and what they like to get down with. So they got to zip their lips.
Did you see that happen?
Oh, yes. Doc Holliday, who is one of the leaders of the BGF, Black Guerrilla Family, which is a prison gang in the California state prison system.
I didn't know gangs had their own
Upon his
Bibles.
release from prison, a certain sister made herself known to him at a nightclub, whereupon he moved in with her, and she picked up names, telephone numbers, information, you know, that kind of thing.
Fool.
That lasted for a good 3.5 months.
Was this an unusual thing, or did this happen often?
No, that happens all the time.
Did you yourself get involved in doing that?
Yes.
Give me an example.
There was a gentleman that was on trial in Los Angeles that belonged to the BLA that had been busted in a southern state for a bank robbery, but was brought with 2 other people to Los Angeles to stand trial for the machine gunning of a police officer in Los Angeles. I was supposed to worm my way into the affections of his sister, and whatever it took to get the information that I needed as far as what kind of defense they planned to use as to turn this information over to the federal prosecution.
Did you do it?
I got the information, and thank God I didn't have to go through with the
Knocking his sister down.
thing of sexual activity.
What do you mean, thank God?
The sister was rather unappealing.
Hey, has anybody ever
How did you just...
thought about how all these rappers are best friends? You know, you see Biggie. I mean, I'm sorry, not Biggie, but you got Puff Daddy, you got Drake, you got Lil Baby, you got Young Thug, you got Gunna, you have LeBron James, Meek Mill, Robert Kraft. They all be putting their arms around each other and kissing each other on the cheek and hugging. Why y'all so close friends? See, I don't even do that with the people I went to high school with. My dogs, my G's that I really grew up with. Ain't no way in hell I'm about to meet some random men and then my besties. But in rap culture and celebrity culture, these people who are complete strangers out of nowhere be best friends and stand each other at a house and having sleepovers. And The more you know, the more you know. But we all been manipulated and bamboozled. And my daddy always said, if don't listen to nobody on TV because they don't pay no bills in this house. And I'm encouraging whoever happens to watch this video, don't listen to nobody on TV, on the internet, social media, because they don't pay no bills in your house. Read for yourself, think for yourself, and you be the king of your castle or the queen of your castle.
Testify to the organizations in which you had infiltrated yourself that you
This culture
were
thing is a
living
setup.
on an $800 a week stipend or on an $800 a week standard of living when most of them were living hand to mouth.
Well, hey, brother, I'm hustling, I mean, hey, man, so a little this on the side, little that on the side, I get over, that kind of thing. In other words, ain't nobody's business but mine where I get the money. So, everybody took it for granted that I was possibly doing a little dealing on the side. That kind of thing. Then also, everybody liked me for the simple reason that I would do things that I didn't have to do. I would go out of my way. Like Mafunde would have a pageant and they needed someone to do the sound setup for him. And I'd say, of course, I'll do it for you. That kind of thing. I was very well liked at one time.
You can equate that to modern society being a rapper that gives everybody a feature for a good deal. So you can be besties with everybody because that's going to move you up in the ranks.
Would you say to American citizens that this situation of surveillance and infiltration continues to this day?
Oh, yes.
On the dimension that you experienced?
Probably much larger by now.
Oh, it's massive.
Larger.
Oh, yeah. Let me put it to you like this. Each year, everything gradually escalated up more and more. So I figured when I left, it didn't stop escalating.
Man, it takes you back to what Kanye said, they can't do anything to me because I've never been to jail before. With Jay-Z sold drugs, DaBaby has murdered somebody in Walmart, Lil Baby was in jail for selling drugs, Young Thug is currently in jail, YNW Melly is currently in jail, Tory Lanez is currently in jail. So the FBI has something over all these people at any given time if they want to. I was just thinking the other day, like, how is a Young Thug is releasing an album? He's in jail for RICO charges. Who is he communicating with? Like, all right, we just mixed the number 12. We're going to have DaBaby feature on this. We're going to see if we can reach out to, like, who is organizing all this for this man that's in jail? It don't make sense. When we got regular homicides happening every single day, just yesterday in Kansas City where I'm at, they just put in the ordinance where after 8 p.m., anybody 17 and under has to be at home because it's too violent here. It was 15 murders last weekend, like 11 murders the weekend before that. Yet we can let somebody that's in jail for multiple murder charges release a whole studio album that the whole world can bob to and listen to. It don't make sense because if you think about all the homicides, what do you think these kids are listening to when they're in their car? I challenge you to study sound frequency. I challenge you to read The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. And then read Color, Communism, and Common Sense by Manning Johnson. We've been played, we've been manipulated, and bamboozled. Shout out to Malcolm X.
As they say, one monkey does not stop anybody's show.
That's why Ye spoke up and they was like, get him out the way.
Who at one time, it was reported, gave money to the Black Panther Party, I believe. Were you ever assigned to look into that?
Yes, I was told to try to get as close to Mr. Davis or to anyone in his office as I could. I used to go up and have real chit-chat, chummy conversation with his personal secretary, Ann, at the 9000 building on Sunset. And I used to bring a Porter-Pack video camera, and I used to go around and I would videotape the whole office.
You mean celebrities would be coming into his office and you'd film them freely?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't they question that?
I'm from the Ross Writers Workshop. Yeah, right on, brother, that kind of thing. No questions asked. Same thing with the NAACP Image Awards. They were very interested in people like Sammy Davis Jr. There was another black in Los Angeles.
And it's crazy because now the NAACP Awards is highlighting Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union. Infiltration at its finest.
That they were very interested in because, not Los Angeles, but in Sacramento, Nathaniel Calloway, who's attorney for the NAACP. And I know Nat. and they wanted information on him, just for the simple reason that he's an attorney for the NAACP, which makes no sense to me, but must make a lot of sense to them because they use the information.
You've been called upon to testify in Washington. Before who?
Before the Senate committee.
I wanted
I
to
was
testify in a
called first
shiesty
to
like Danny
testify
Polo.
before the church committee. And I did go to Washington, D.C. I did testify to those people. And I want to say right now that the committee was full of smack. They got loads and loads of information and didn't even use it, didn't release it. I had tapes that I offered to them in evidence against the Federal Bureau of Investigation with conversations of me and my supervising officer where he's telling me to obtain certain articles for him by stealing. Don't get fingerprints on it. We can really use that. Did you take the weapons over to such and such? The Churches Committee told me that they couldn't use the tapes because the tapes were gotten by illegal means.
What would you say about the composition of the committee panel that questioned you?
I can say that's for the birds too, because the same people that I was talking about were the same people on the panel with the Churches Committee.
What do you mean?
When I came in the room to be interviewed by the so-called people from the Churches Committee, the representatives from the Federal Bureau of Investigations were also in the room.
FBI agents were a member of the Church Committee panel.
They were there with the investigators for the Churches Committee asking questions just like the Churches Committee. And see, this is another thing that I find fault with, and this is another reason why I am not going to Washington, D.C., is that, again, I have been asked to come again for the second time. I'm not going again. For the simple reason that when I went up there with the idea that there were agencies investigating the Federal Bureau of Investigation, not the Federal Bureau of Investigation investigating itself.
The FBI been trashed for a long time now.
Almost. Do you have a sense that you're going to be arrested and go to prison?
Oh yeah, eventually. Eventually, when things come to a head, it has to. It has to be that way. No other way around it.
What would you say to citizens who sit and listen to what you've said and have a sense of frustration and helplessness?
There are some agents, the old line agents, that disagree with the tactics that were used during the so-called COINTEL period. But one thing I don't want us to jump off of is that people always talk about, they're talking about COINTEL now so heavily. I'm not talking about COINTEL, I'm talking about a thing called BD, which was better known as Black Death. The Black Death was set up for a simple thing of infiltrating black organizations and black groups, whatever.
Where was this Black Desk, or were there a number of them?
There were a number of Black Desks, but the head Black Desk was in Washington, D.C., controlled by Sullivan. And the...
Was he black?
No.
Mm-hmm. And what was the function of the Black Desks all over the country? I guess there were dozens.
The function of the Black Desk was to monitor activity, social unrest, revolutionary groups, cultural groups, and such in the black community.
And feed it into this central desk. And it still exists?
As far as I know, yes.
We've seen a number of investigations into the assassination of Martin Luther King. We've seen an extended police trial of the assassination of Malcolm X. What you seem to say substantiates what many black people say out on the street, that government agents or agencies knew that these assassinations were brewing and either participated in them or allowed them to take place.
It would behoove black people, it would behoove all people, really, to question so-called the cut and dry one lone assassin theory. The Bureau and other intelligence agencies are very good at conspiracies. They are very good at setting people up to be killed. They are very good at making innuendos so the person will be killed.
city police don't know about, because they have policemen in there. They don't let black people form anything without some policemen in there. And while I was in the black Muslim movement, over the black Muslim movement, many of the police who were sent to infiltrate us, they're black, would tell me, say, look, I'm a cop, but I have to come. They would tell me. I knew the Muslim movement was full of police. So don't you think anything is going down that they don't know about? The only thing that goes down is what they want to go down. And what they don't want to go down, they don't let it go down.
Man, look here, we're going to run that back a little bit, but tell me a 10-year period where you can have King, X, Kennedy, and Kennedy killed. And I think they all are quote-unquote unsolved. The JFK files just showed I think the CIA was behind it. We know Malcolm was set up. We know Martin was set up. And I've said about Nipsey. I've said about Dolph. And also thinking about why every prominent rapper, athlete, you name it, they all are politically aligned. No matter where they come from, the East Coast, the West Coast, down south. When it comes to politics, they all agree. Knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave, and we not as ignorant as the mass people wanted to believe. But information like this is restricted from us. But the internet is the back door to enlighten each other and share this type of content. But think about all these rappers. Like I said, show me a prominent rapper that wasn't in and out of jail or didn't go through some tragedy in their family. Even Lizzo, her mama had just died. Lil Nas X grew up in a homeless shelter. I've said time and time and time again, our society feeds off broken people. They want you sad, depression, anxiety, not believing in yourself, coming from a broken home, not knowing your mama and your daddy. That's why I say we need strong families. We need strong units. Because if we don't have anybody to protect our children, then yeah, if you would have came to me at 14 years old and gave me $2.5 million and all I got to do is talk about killing people, I'm on it. Melly number 2, murder on my mind. You get what I'm saying? King Von, a crazy story. They get these broken young kids and they don't realize that they've put out a massive negative information to the world. And the minute they enlighten themselves, we just lose them. I challenge everybody watching this video to go read Nipsey Hussle's reading list. The 10 books that Nipsey recommends, and you'll be mind blown that this is the content that Nipsey Hussle was consuming. That when you go back and you listen to Young Dolph preach, you're like, Young Dolph was listening to Alan Watts? These men were very intellectual, and they got manipulated into thinking we had to present ourselves a certain way culturally. And that gets us to the top. And while it does get us to the top really fast, it comes with the negative side of life, that negative energy that what you put out, you must get back. So I'm saying, be the spook who sat by the door. Pay attention to the content that you put out to the world. And don't be one-dimensional. Don't let the FBI or the CIA or the powers that be, whoever, be able to put you in this box. Read for yourself. Think for yourself. The lights are on. It's time to shine. I love you all. Thank you for watching this video. And we're going to listen to a little more Malcolm real quick. Because once again, Malcolm said nothing happens that they don't want to happen.
Will be killed.
City police don't know about, because they have policemen in there. They don't let black people form anything without some policemen in there. And while I was in the black Muslim movement, over the black Muslim movement, many of the police who were sent to infiltrate us, they're black, would tell me, say, look, I'm a cop, but I have to come. They would tell me. I knew the Muslim movement was full of police. So don't you think anything is going down that they don't know about? The only thing that goes down is what they want to go down. And what they don't want to go down, they don't let it go down.
As my grandma said, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Be the best version of yourself. Keep reading, keep learning, keep growing, keep consuming information, and share with the loved ones around you. We have to disconnect from the materialistic side of society, because being materialistic is what's got us in this trouble in the first place. Because they can offer you all the money, cars, clothes, jewelry, but at the end of the day, they're going to turn it back on you as well, like they did my homie, like they did Young Thug sitting in jail, or Tory Lanez, or all these other rappers who really thought that they had reached a certain pinnacle of life and that they was holier than thou, they couldn't be touched. And as Jay-Z said in the story of OJ, no matter what rich nigga pour into you at the end of the day, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I love you all. We outie, baby.